Ladies and gentlemen, everyone else in between, Ultimate Steve here. Welcome back to episode 13 of Planet Jam. That intro took me about 47 attempts, but we're here. Bob Kerman here, and we are going to Avu. Technically, the next nearest body that we can go to, although technically we still have to go to the what is it, the Aeroptos system to land and do those contracts, and we still have to go land on Elan and take off again. I want to do some more exploring of the outer planets. Well, I don't know where inner planets end and where outer planets start, because there's like a lot of inner planets. So like the outer inner planets, which technically I guess the barrier would be these three are definitely outer. So I'm going to divide them into outer, middle, and inner. So inner would be Elan, Reticulum, Asite Par, Aeroptos, Windswept, and Kane. Well, actually no, Kane, Dreidel, and Avu are probably middle planets. And then of course we have, I don't know how to pronounce that. And the rest of them is the outer planets. But anyway, Avu is the furthest away of the three that I consider going to, because we got Kane, Windswept, and Avu. However, it looks like Avu has rings, so it's probably very big, so it's probably fairly easy to enter orbit around, which is why I chose it despite it being the furthest away. So Bob, this is Pioneer 3, and I'll show you all the cool stuff it has on board once we get into orbit. Anyway. So, I haven't tested this. Okay, fantastic at takeoff. Okay, so yeah, this is another Pioneer mission. It's not explicitly one way, but it probably will end up being one way like the other ones. And because Avu is so far out, and we have other places to explore, it's probably going to be a good long while until Bob Kerman gets home. However, he does have significantly more luxurious accommodations than the other missions we've sent one way so far. However, it's still just like, I think he has 4 seats of space instead of the 1, which still isn't a lot by deep space mission standards. But I'd much rather be Bob than Val or Bill. And there goes our boosters, and we can hopefully separate these without issue. Yes, there we are. I included Sepatrons for once, and it paid off. So the next stage is the fairing that we decouple those and activate the nuclear engines. Okay, I will, and this, okay, good, I remember to change that to liquid fuel only. I'll run you over all these systems in the vehicle in about 2 minutes. I should go up a bit more because orbit may not be kind to us with such a low thrust weight ratio upper stage, or with 12x time warp. I keep forgetting that I'm on 12, so I'm going to go back to the standard physics warp. I have a mod that I can do that with now. Yeah. You know what? I am going to do something weird. I'm going to activate the nuclear engines right now, because it's looking like we're going to need the extra thrust to get to orbit. Although we might actually make it with just this stage, I don't know if I want to chance that. Yeah, it's looking like we will be fine. However, I will try and burn this to depletion so we are more maneuverable, even if we will end up in a higher orbit than anticipated. 127. So if it gets 200 kilometers, that's a bit excessive. There we are. Okay, so now that that's done, we can deploy the fairing and reveal the ship inside, or the top half of the ship inside. I'm going to get rid of these nose cones. And we can have a good overview of the ship. So this is the, well, I need to detach this first. And we're going to extend the solar panels. Well, activate receiver because it's interstellar. So this is Pioneer 3. We're going to Avu, and hopefully the models for Windswept and Kane will be fairly similar to this. So basically the big ship has landing legs in case it's like a really, really, really small moon that we need to land on. And then we have this lander here, which can be an atmospheric lander, a return vessel, or a vacuum lander, depending on what ends up being there. So it's a very versatile ship. We have a whole set of science experiments up here. We've got communications home. We've got solar panels. It's powered by 2 nuclear engines with, why do I only have 4 kilometers per second? 5 kilometers. Wait, well, 5 kilometers per second. Like, I thought for sure I had more. Maybe my Delta V readout is failing me. Or maybe it's all the extra stuff I added. Okay, see, it says I have 7.3 kilometers per second. It also says my encoders are overloaded, because my computer's been a bit slow recently. So hopefully you aren't getting too many frame drops. My OBS is frozen. There we are. Okay. Was it auto-saving? It probably was auto-saving there. Why am I getting so much lag today? I mean, yeah, I know I have not restarted my computer in a while, but I am getting a lot of lag today. Anyway, let's get into orbit, and then we can plot our transfer from there. And that is circular enough for government work. So now we need to plot a transfer to Avu. Or just wait until the actual transfer. But I might actually do a little bit of a different transfer. It's going to take longer. But I think there may be some advantages to doing, like fuel economy advantages to doing it another way. So like if I do it right now, I will get there. And granted, I also still have not tapped into the gravity assist potential, which I may have to do. This ridiculous amount of delta V that it's asking me to do. I can have an encounter for the low price of way too much fuel. Okay, now it's giving me a close approach. I can't tell where it wants the close approach to be, but our intercept velocity is going to be ridiculously high if we do this. Like, over the top high. Like, that's going to be, unless, like, if it was, like, massive. Like, okay, hold on, let's look at Avu. Like, let's at least try and, use our big brain telescope skills. Astronomy with Ultimate Steve. So this is the upside of the vessel. Now Avu should be above the windows no matter which window we go to. We're just below it, so we just need to look up through the windows. Is that it right there? Yeah, it is. I can't see anything. In that case, well, which delta V readout do we trust? That's the thing. Do we trust the stock readout, or do you trust the Kerbal Engineer readout? Because if it's the Kerbal Engineer readout, we might be able to make it to orbit there, although it will definitely be a one-way trip. I'm going to trust neither, and I'm going to do my own delta V calculations. Let's see, Google delta V calculator. Okay, the current ship mass is 55.65 tons, and our liquid fuel mass... Our specific impulse is 800 seconds. And our liquid fuel mass... how much liquid fuel is in? That's the wrong thing. Liquid fuel is 1.84 tons times 2, because we have 2 of those tanks. These tanks are reserved for the lander, although if we really do need to, we can ditch the lander. And, yeah. Because, like, the idea is that we'll use the lander... We can use the lander twice. We'll have enough fuel for 2. Like, we'll have enough oxidizer for 2 uses, is what I'm saying. And then this tank we have... 29.48. So that's 33.52 tons of liquid fuel. So 55.65 minus 33.52 is 22.13 tons dry mass. And our first specific impulse is 800. We have 7.2 kilometers per second of delta V, which means that I cannot trust the stock readout. I have to trust the Kerbal Engineer readouts. Unfortunately, I still don't think that'll be enough, because that doesn't really give me a lot to play around with once I'm there. So I am going to do it my own way. I'm going to completely ignore the transfer window, and I'm going to get to Avu the creative way, although it may take Bill Kerman several years. So I need to wait until we're roughly at the line of apsides of Avu, and then we're going to want to burn prograde around the backside to get our... Well, technically maybe to get our... Wait, hold on. Was that an encounter with something else? What's that encounter with? Oh, is that just... Okay, that's a different encounter that I don't care about. We can correct our inclination at some other time. And burn prograde enough so that in a few orbits time we will intersect. Like there, like yeah, we'll burn prograde that much. No, I don't want to add maneuver, I want to edit the current maneuver, thank you. Why is that not converging? It should converge. Where did our encounter go? It's not rocket science. It's just getting an encounter. It's not giving us an encounter, but we have an encounter there. In 4 months' time, which isn't that bad by real-world standards, so I guess I'll go with it. And then we can, so like, it'll take 2 kilometers per second for that burn, 0.3 for that burn. It's not showing me how much for that burn. 815. So it's about the same amount of delta V, but we will have a much better intercept velocity. So I say we go for it. Node in 17 minutes, start burn 7 minutes. I don't know if I trust that. I think I'm going to start a little bit early. Our orbital period is pretty low, so we might have to break this up into 2 periapsis kicks. Yeah, like, it's still asking us to burn like a radial in at the burn start time, so I'm going to break this up into 2 burns, where I'm going to start at negative 30 degrees. Well, let's go to negative 20 degrees. And then go to positive 20 degrees. Because, like, there's, like, no way that I'm going to have any sort of semblance of efficiency doing that burn. So I just need to burn 2 kilometers per second this way, and we'll reset all of the other orbital mischief later. And we're stop the burn before it gets out of hand, because that's going to exit the sphere of influence fairly soon. And actually, yeah, we gotta go 1.4. Well, we don't have to go 1.4. We just gotta exit the sphere of influence. Going the I waited too long, didn't I? And that's gonna be not very efficient at all. Oh no, I ruined the entire plan. I ruined the entire plan. Okay, whatever. Let's wing. Let's continue to wing it. I'm sorry, but that's exactly what Bob wants to hear. We're winging it. We're winging the mission that's going to strand him in space for several years. Oh yeah, it's fine if we wing this mission. We just can't wing the rescue. Okay, so that could have been done far more efficiently. So the next big thing to do is we want to correct our inclination, which will be done at the ascending node because it's more efficient to do it there because it's higher up. It's more efficient to correct your inclination when you're going slower, and we're just going to go ahead and delete the rest of these transfer windows for now. We can go there later. I just want to focus on one mission at a time, because something that kills my motivation is doing one of those careers where you have like 8 different missions running at the same time. So I'm just going to do one mission at a time here, pretty much. That's why I don't play with life support mods that often, because, like, I figured out that having to, like, not being able to see missions through to the end, like, fairly quickly is a big motivation killer for me. So now we're correcting the inclination with respect to a VU. And now we're going to set up a maneuver once our engines turn all the way off. There we are. They are all the way off. Wait, is our specific impulse going down over time? That's interesting. Is that because the nuclear fuel is wearing out? That's interesting. Granted, we're probably not going to get much more than like maybe a couple % efficiency loss throughout the mission, but that's still an interesting thing that we have to consider now that we have Kerbal Interstellar installed. And that is fairly close, and then we can trim our encounter from there. Nice, okay. So now we need to get to that maneuver, which is in 2 weeks. Sit tight, Bob. You're doing great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Oh, I missed the node, but it's solar orbit, so it doesn't really matter that much. Like, if your orbit's sufficiently long, it doesn't really matter if you miss your burn by a few seconds, especially if you're in Kerbal and, like, have extra fuel margins that real-life missions don't tend to have, and have information that real-life missions don't tend to have, and stuff like that, you know? Wow, we actually used up an alarming amount of the fuel already. Granted, at least according to Kerbal Engineer, we still have 3.7 kilometers per second left, which is about what we expected to have, but still a little bit alarming that we're burning through it this fast. I'm kind of glad that we have Interstellar installed, because some of those engines, with the crazy efficiencies, we're going to need them. We're going to need them so badly. Keep dropping heavy stuff on the floor. I'm so sorry to the guy who lives below me, and I will correct it later. Here we go. And hopefully we have an encounter that will show up. What am I doing? What happened? Did I I burned during time warp. And that used fuel. Wait, did I? What? So in Interstellar, you can burn during time warp. Because it kept using my fuel through that. And then I wasted a ton of fuel. Do I have a quick save? Okay, I noticed I wouldn't quick load, but I'm going to make a save now just to make sure that I have a save. Okay, I'm going to try this. I noticed I wouldn't know. Like, this is, like, due to something that should not have happened. Like, in Kerbal Jank Program, I was definitely milking my incompetence for views. I'm not doing that here. I'm here because I want to explore the planets. And I do want some fear of failure, but, like that's a bit ridiculous. Wait, was this before or after this is before we did the burn to phase our orbit. I still need to install Waterfall. See, our specific impulse is dropping. It's down to 799.5 now. I wonder if that's because we're using fuel up. Like nuclear fuel, not like fuel, but like the nuclear reactor is wearing down. I'd never noticed that about interstellar engines before. So if we do actually leave Bob Kerman out here for several years, he might have much less delta V than what he started with. And that's good enough. And then make absolutely sure. Okay, zero thrust. Alright, a Who is coming up. And we should be able to make it out soon. Reticulum. Eyesight parts blue over there. Wait, did we just go through it? Oh, okay. Oh, the encounter is still there. Okay. It's just not showing up for some reason. So we can't see it. We can't see it. It's going to show up. Okay. Encounter in 1 hour. We're leaving in 5 hours. So that's a really fat... Okay, we might actually not be able to capture it. It might not be as big as I thought it was going to be. I can't see it. No, there it is. It's very, very dark, but I can see a little bit of a crescent there. So hold on, let me get to a window so I can zoom in on it a bit. It's also mostly... We can mostly just see the shadow, like the dark side from where we are. Like we can just barely make out a crescent. So I'm going to watch this probably through the windows. Also, I hope I'm not going in retrograde. Come on, get to the... Is it not letting me look out the windows anymore? It's not letting me look out the windows. What is this? Okay, is it an input locks issue? Input locks. Clear input locks. No, it just doesn't want to let me look. Okay, fine. I'll look myself in a few seconds. There we are. And we are indeed orbiting the wrong way. There are 2 moons. How much fuel do we have? 3.4 kilometers per second. I don't even know if I have enough to correct my direction, let alone capture. If I were to burn now, how much fuel would it take? That's 200 meters per second. How much is it to barely capture? And then we can go from there. 3.147. So we need 3.3. We have 3.4. How tall is the atmosphere of Vu? So presumably we would have been... I'm not looking, I'm not looking. Is there an atmosphere? ASL gravity, 0.2 G. Atmospheric height, 48. Atmospheric pressure, 0.1. So this isn't the big planet that I was hoping it would be. It's really small. Hence why we couldn't see it from far away. Interesting. So, how do we proceed here? So I'm going to set this small body as my target. I mean, we have to stage off of this. Like, okay, anyway. Let's bump this mode up a bit earlier. We can put our periapsis a little bit closer in. Okay. Alright. Maneuver time. Let's correct our stuff a little bit. And we are down. Oh, the specific impulse rises up as the burn goes through. That's interesting. So maybe it's not reactor's wearing out. Maybe it's the. Oh no, it's copying at 799 exactly right now. Interesting. You know, since this planetary system is so small, I think I might actually steal some of this oxidizer that's in these tanks. Sorry, steal some of the liquid fuel for the nuclear engines. And then use... Well, I need to use the monopropellant, of course, to fine-tune things now, because, like, I will need the monopropellant. That's how close to the wire we're getting on this fuel. We're going to take the liquid fuel for the nuclear engines, and then delete the oxidizer. Jettison the oxidizer. Because this system, depending on how, like, troublesome it is to get around, we may actually be able to, like, abandon the entire ship and then take the lander as its own stage. And we do still have enough fuel to capture, right? How much fuel do we have according to Kerbal Engineer? 3.268 kilometers per second of delta V. Oh, yeah, we're going to be fine. We'll be able to capture fairly well, and then do the inclination change at the apoapsis. What is our orbital velocity right here? So, in a roughly circular orbit, we got 3.5, and if you want to go all the way to 0, we got 4. So it's about 1 kilometer per second orbital velocity. Since I need all the fuel, I don't want to ditch the oxidizer because I might need it to explore the other moons. Anyway, no sense like actually doing a node. We just want to capture. So we want to like go T minus 14. Well, just in case, let's run all the science right now. In fact, let's actually make an action group for science. Oh, we should have had a science container so we could like to transmit all. In fact, like okay, well. As much as I don't want to do this, granted, I don't want to have the pain of like resetting everything and grabbing everything. So what I'm going to do is even the ones that I have, like even the materials bay and such, I think I am just going to transmit that instead of bothering to recover it because this vessel is probably never coming home. Let's be honest. And then we can get an EVA report, and then because we have a scientist here, we're going to restore. Wait, we did restore it, right? Or was I too far away? Restore and restore. Nice. And we got the EVA report, so we're gonna go back in. I should be reading these. I keep forgetting. Because like some of the monitors have added these. I don't think I've read. It's like I think I've read a grand total of 1. So I need to start reading these. Anyway, so we're gonna get close to a VU, and we're going to do a big ol' retrograde burn. So yeah, expectations. It has rings, but it's not big. Interesting. 10 minutes out, I think. That's how much burn time do we have left total on this stage? 12 minutes left. So what we actually want to do, we're going to go like 8 minutes out from periaps. Okay, now we can start burning, and we should be fairly well timed. We're going to hit the atmosphere, but it's just thin atmosphere that I wouldn't worry about it. Unless we get like really deep in it. And here we go. One shot with the engines firing, and that might be a thumbnail. And what's our atmospheric height again? .48. So we actually are about to poke into it, so I will burn outwards a little bit, despite the efficiency losses. We're going to burn the last of our fuel. Future version of this, I might add drop tanks to extend the range. Assuming there is a future version of this, and we don't like immediately jump to fusion engines or whatnot. We are in space low, so we can run the experiments again. And we'll get Bob out after we're in orbit. Oh, that's cool. We're next to the rings. Are you sure we're not on a collision course? Because that kind of looks a little bit like a collision course to me. Okay. Stop lagging. Okay, we're just loading the planet's surface. That's why it's lagging. There we are. Now the lag is stopped. Our specific impulse is down to 798.9 seconds, interestingly enough. And we should be entering orbit any second now. Unless I have severely miscalculated. Oh, we still have a kilometer per second of delta V, so... Okay. We just passed the periapsis. We have... Okay, I think I fairly well... I should have started a little bit earlier, but we did fairly well time this burn. Right? 400 meters per second left. We're gonna get into orbit, right? Right? That's an alarming angle. I should have jettisoned the oxidizer before. Well, no, I'm gonna use it to... Assuming I get into orbit, it will be a good thing that we kept the oxidizer. If I don't get to orbit, it will be a bad thing that we kept the oxidizer. We only have 200 meters per second left. It's completely neglected to account for the efficiency losses by not having a high thrust-to-weight ratio. 60 meters, yes, we did it! With 50 meters per second left in the tanks, which will probably be used to correct our inclination, lower our apoapsis. We did it! Just barely.